Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of 100 Yards Football Sports Talk Radio. I'm your host and producer this afternoon, Logan Landers, and joining me to talk about the 2024 NFL Draft prospect, Ricky Pearsall, wide receiver coming out of Florida. As always, Mr. Football, Vincent Turner. How you doing this afternoon, Vincent?
Hey, how you doing today, Mr. Logan Landers?
I am doing tremendous, sir. I'm ready to talk about this elite wide receiver coming out of Florida. Go Gators. And I'm excited, man. I'm excited. We got Super Bowl coming up real soon. We just did a preview on that. Go check it out. It's on the channel. And we're talking about a very talented wide receiver here today. But before we get into it, guys, if you enjoy this episode, give us a like, follow, share, and, of course, subscribe so you don't miss a single bit of content we put out. Doing a ton of draft stuff now that the NFL is winding down. College has been done. We are going into full-on draft prospect mode. So we will be putting out a ton of content about your favorite teams, players, and where we think they could go in the upcoming 2024 NFL Draft. You check us out on Facebook and YouTube, as I mentioned, and also the Believe Podcast Network, our main hub, where if you enjoy podcasts, you can find us there each and every single week on Spotify, Apple Podcast, or anywhere else you enjoy listening to shows. You can find us on there, as I mentioned, each and every single week. Well, Vincent, let's talk about this guy, Ricky Pearsall, wide receiver coming out of Florida. And an interesting guy, this guy is. He's a senior. He's been playing at Florida since 2019, and he has improved steadily each and every single season. Breaking down the stats for him this past year in 2023, he had highs in catches, 65 yards, 965. He's second in terms of average per catch, 14.8, big play receiver right there, 4 touchdowns, and he has really got it going. He can also run the ball a little bit too. He's got 2 touchdowns on the ground for 62 yards. So another just facet that he could help out an NFL team with. Now, as we know, Florida didn't have the greatest season this year, but we're not talking about how the team was. We're talking about how this young man, Ricky Pearsall, played against certain teams and how he was as a player. So when you look at this guy, the 6'1", 190 is his attributes there. He's coming out of Chandler, Arizona, senior. He's got a ton of experience, as we know, as I mentioned, been playing since 2019, where he started off at Arizona State University, transferred over to Florida in 2022, where his game has elevated. And I think that this guy is a guy who you're sleeping on a little bit. People might not look at and say, oh, this guy, he's just another guy in the draft. We'll just kind of brush him over. But we're not here to do that. He came into college as a 3-star recruit out of Arizona. And we saw that he was a rotational player early on, didn't get a whole lot of stuff, but then he really came into it his third year, 48 catches, 580, 4 touchdowns. That was his breakout year. As I mentioned, once he went on over to Florida, that's where he really had a breakout season. Now, looking at his strengths, I think that he's a pretty explosive athlete. He's got good burst. You see him out of his route breaks. He's got good separation. He's got some good speed, long speed. That means he can run for a good amount of time and not break down, not slow down at all. Really good body control. I mean, if you look at this highlight film he's got on YouTube, Vincent, he makes some of the most acrobatic catches you'll see any guy in this upcoming 2024 NFL draft class. And I mean, we know this is a very talented wide receiver group that's going into this year. But in terms of just acrobatic ability, catches in traffic, highlight film plays, ones that you go back, rewind, and you watch again, Ricky Pearsall might be the top guy with just how well he's played. And he's got, like I said, elite body control in midair also is tremendous. I'm also seeing a guy who's really good at route running, really solid there. He's got great hands as well, rarely drops passes. He's got good foot speed as well. He's a good separator. He's good at precise route running against man coverage. He can beat those guys. He's got really good body movement because, whenever you're in man coverage, you got to do some juke moves, got to use some head fakes. That's what this guy excels at. He's got really good strength as well. You see he's built well on the screen. And I think that overall, Vincent, Ricky Pearsall is a guy who is just super acrobatic and a guy who, if you're looking for a big play, this is a guy you throw the ball to and he will go up there, risk his body, life, a limb for it, Vincent, and he will go after it. Overall, I like this guy. I think that he's had a really good year, a really good college career, and I can't wait to see where this young man's going to go in the 2024 NFL Draft. Your thoughts on the young wide receiver coming out of Florida?
Started his career out of, as you say, Chandler, Arizona. Started Arizona State, was playing under Herm Edwards. Things didn't work out that well. He decided to come to the real rugged SEC. And what I like about the young man, the toughness that you have to have at the receiver position. He dominates in the middle of the field as a wide receiver. This past week at the Senior Bowl, he got grand reviews. He went down there and dominated. And as you just said, he can make the spectacular catch. He's very effective in space, and he's got what I call playmaking skills. And then you brought up another interesting stat. When he finally got a quarterback under center for Florida this year, you said he put up 65 receptions, 965 yards. How much was his yards per catch? What about
14.8 this past year.
That's NFL standard. But he went down to the Senior Bowl this last week and put on the show and really came away impressed and really upgraded his stock. All I can say is two things. When you talk about comparison, he got a little bit of Lance Allworth, Badby, that played at the University of Arkansas and had a Hall of Fame career with the San Diego Chargers. He got a little bit of another Florida Gator that played before him back in the day, Carlos Alvarez. Then he got another former Florida Gator. He's quicker, he's stronger, he's faster, but he's not as big as Chris Doering, who's right now doing work on the SEC network. Got a little bit of him in him. Then he's got a little bit of two receivers that's playing at the next level. Now, that just means he got a little bit of Justin Jefferson in him from LSU, who's doing his thing with the Vikings. Then, of course, Logan, I got to compare him to the LA Rams superstar. What's his name?
Oh, you got Mr. Puka Nakua?
No, not him.
You got Cooper Kupp.
Yes, sir, same player.
There you go.
Remember when Cooper Kupp came out of Eastern Washington? Didn't nobody know about him?
That's it.
Put the work in, and now he's all pro receiver. Ricky Pearsall, I can see him being that next guy. And most of all, I think he's a gentleman that's going to be selected on day 2. He's going to be a real surefire guy that's going to go in the second round. I would love to see him down there in Carolina. Bryce Young needs help. Bryce Young needs a receiver like him. Go Gators. Back over to you, Mr. Logan.
Yes, sir. My final thoughts on Ricky Pearsall. If I had one word to describe him, Vincent, it's reliable. If you need a third down conversion, you toss him the ball, he'll grab it. If you need a big play, if you toss it up to him, if he's anywhere close to it, he's going to go up and give it his 120% to try and get that ball. A guy who gives max effort on every play. I know people are going to ding him because he's a little bit older. He turns 24 in a little bit. But that tells me, as we always say here on the channel, Vincent, just because you're a little older, that means you just got more experience. That means you've got more reps, you've got more plays. And I think that Ricky Pearsall, as we just broke down, he got better each and every single year. From not playing a whole lot at ASU at their Arizona State to becoming one of Florida State's best players in general. I mean, I think that's a great story and just a great college player right there. Now, you brought up Carolina. Gosh, they need some help. There's a lot of teams, Vincent, that would love to have this guy. Maybe not as their top number 1 receiver, but he could definitely be a guy who I see in this league who has, 6, 7, 8+ years in the league, who's always going to be a guy who, you can always throw the ball to, is Mr. Reliable, can always get you that first down, fight for that extra yardage. That's what I see with Ricky Pearsall. I'm excited to see where this young man's going to go. I think he's a guy who a lot of people are sleeping on a little bit, Vincent, but I think that once we see how his route running, how his catching ability excels in the NFL, someone that could be on the watch out for him in a couple of years. Your final words.
All I'm going to say about Ricky Pearsall, I like to see him in Carolina. Bryce Young, bottom line. California, hey, I need some help. I need you. I need some help in Carolina. He would be a perfect player in the scheme.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We'll see if Carolina winds up rocking with Ricky Pearsall or if he takes his talents to another team. We will see. Guys, as always, we appreciate you checking out the video. Once again, give us a like, follow, share, and subscribe on Facebook and YouTube. And also go check out our podcast each and every single week. For Mr. Football, Vincent Turner, I've been your host, producer, Logan Landers. Guys, we'll talk to you again on